Today we've got with us Steve Cook from Maplewood Property. Steve, it's lovely to meet you.
Nice to be here.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about your business?
Absolutely. So Maplewood Property is a letting and property management company based in central London, and it's something I set up in 2015 with my wife Laura, and we manage and deal with rental properties and portfolios 60 minutes from Buckingham Palace.
Brilliant. And it's not your first business, is it? You've got quite a bit of experience.
It's not my first time running a business.
Yeah.
The first time was back when I was 21,
Wow. That's
12 or 13 years ago, and I moved to the US with my family when I was 18.
Yeah.
And when I moved back to the UK 3 years later, I was given our family business to run, which was a letting agency in Nottingham.
That's a lot of stress at this young age. That's wow.
A good amount of stress. I was lucky. I very much enjoyed it. So I had a great time. A huge learning curve, very steep learning curve at that time. That's for sure.
I know it was a successful business. You doubled that turnover while you ran it.
In 4 years or so, we doubled the turnover. We moved to the high street. All of the staff changed, and the team grew a little. So I'm very proud of that. And the business has since been sold.
Yeah.
And after it was sold, we moved to London.
What's been your biggest mishap while you ran it?
Almost certainly employing the wrong person.
Okay.
So not having any experience, certainly at that time, and not doing enough due diligence or spending enough time with that person before hiring them.
What did you learn from it? How do you now know that somebody's right for your business?
The longer I've been working in business, or certainly in the industry, the better I think I've become in terms of gelling with people and figuring out whether we gel or not. I definitely put into practice a few things, such as a half day's work experience before signing somebody up or employing somebody.
That's probably the best way, because you can hear anything you want in the interview, but it might not necessarily translate into practice.
Absolutely, and people are really nervous in interviews, myself included, and you don't know someone really until you're working with them for a long period of time.
That's true. So how long did it take you to get to the stage where you were earning a salary comparable to the one in your previous company?
It was 6 months since I started working in my company full-time. Yeah. So in August last year, I was made redundant from my job. Yeah. Prior to that, Maplewood Property was simply a dormant company that I had set up in 2015 and left really to its own devices. We hadn't grown the company at all in those first 3 or 4 years, but it was there when I was made redundant and I could go into something that was pre-existing. So at that time, the company looked after a few places for friends, managed a few properties outside of my working area. And in the last 5 or 6 months, I'm more than halfway there to replace that income that I had.
That's really good.
I think within the next 6 months, that income will be replaced. So that salary equivalent would have been replaced.
Brilliant. So what are your goals with your company for the future?
For the immediate year, I will employ 2 members of full-time staff. And an ongoing goal is to make the business carbon neutral and to continue to be conscious of the environmental impacts.
Okay. You also mentioned that you wanted to work on your work-life balance when we spoke before. What's your plan with regards to that?
It would be fantastic to have the company and spend time with the people that I'd be working with, and also be able to spend a couple of days a week on renewable energy. I am learning all the time about the fields and the impacts of climate change and things that we're doing even here in the UK. So I'd be very keen to get into that, as well as making my company environmentally conscious, to be able to have a bigger impact maybe with another company.
That's a great goal to have. What has been your biggest success so far?
My biggest success would be a toss-up between growing and selling our family business, with, of course, enormous amounts of help from my family and the team that I had there, as well as now running my company full-time and wearing all the company owner hats, and I'm very, very lucky because I'm really enjoying this stage in my professional career. And life, and I also really enjoyed that one. That must be the secret. So
sounds like a great lifestyle. If you were to give one piece of advice to fellow entrepreneurs, what would it be?
Definitely take your time when making decisions, and choose wisely. I hear a lot about making quick decisions and then backpedaling. I think it's easy for that to happen and to get in the way of progress. And choosing the people that you work with is the biggest, I suppose. It's so important to find people who energize you and who have different strengths to what you have.
That's a very good piece of advice. What about resources that they could use, books or courses that you enjoy?
Absolutely. The I think best course I've ever taken, it was with Landmark Education. And Landmark do have a curriculum of education, which is absolutely phenomenal.
I haven't heard of them before. Is it business education or?
It's life.
Okay.
And it allowed, and we all, that's for sure. I certainly got a lot from that, and it made me realise what I'd like from life as well as business, and created an enormous amount of sort of connection with people. Regarding books, I think, again, there's so many out there. Mel Robbins would be anything by Mel Robbins or Brené Brown. I think The 5-Second Rule and Daring Greatly are both great.
I haven't heard of the 5-second rule. What is it?
As it sounds, the 5-second rule is counting backwards from 5.
Okay.
And when you're procrastinating, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. And the key is simply to follow those instructions. And
that sounds simple.
It's so simple.
In principle.
There's tens of millions of people have watched her TED Talk from a few years ago now, and the book itself is very successful. There's a lot of science behind that. So counting down instead of counting up, because if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you just get to 6.
Oh, okay.
If you're giving yourself a countdown, then it engages a part of your brain, and action is inevitable. So it's one of them that I like. I also love the E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and it's talked a lot about in business, the 80-20 principle. Richard Koch has an excellent book, I think, on that one. So easy to apply, I think.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your time.
Nice to be here.